It's hard to talk about the most famous person I've ever met because, again, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I have lots of friends and or fathering or other interviewees. You can look at my books to see who they are. But because I've been asked the question, I have to say, well, lots of people who are famous in sport, test cricketers and in different countries, and NFL footballers, mountaineers, all sorts of things like that in different countries, as well as entertainment, politics. I've interviewed Prime Minister of Australia and UK, as well as congressmen and senators. Five Nobel laureates are friends of mine, or have been before they passed. Friends who are billionaires. But, you know, I there's no selfies with them. I don't treat them as famous. I don't, when I talk to them, discuss any of the three things that make people famous. One is their wealth, they're billionaires. Another one is their fame, movie stars or whatever. And another one, or sports stars. And another one is their power, politicians, etc. And people say, look, it's you know, lots of famous people, but you don't ever seem to be intimidated by that. I say, no, I don't really choose that. I mean, I've seen so much life and death, and I've learnt so much about life that honestly, I think it actually doesn't make any difference to me. They got $10 billion or $50 billion or $50. It honestly doesn't right now make any difference to me. I wouldn't cross the room to talk to someone. If there was a movie star or a prime minister at a function, I wouldn't cross the room to talk to them. I would talk to them if I got a chance, you know, as in anyone else. And then I would never discuss anything to do with their fame. In fact, finish by giving one example. I interviewed a guy named David Gower, who's a very famous English cricketer, one of England's best ever cricketers and captain. And I interviewed him for my fathering book because a co-commentator of his was someone that I had coached in my football team. And we met at a hotel before one of the Perth Test matches, and we talked for 2 hours. I actually allowed half an hour, but we talked for 2 hours. And he's just a wonderful guy. Talked about his daughters and life. And at the 2 hour mark, we both had to go. And he said to me this, and I've never forgotten it. He said, Bruce, this has been a unique experience for me. Like, he's a famous international commentator, and he's like, I'm thinking, what's he talking about? He said, we've been talking for 2 hours. I've loved it. But the word cricket has not come up once. He said, since I was a young teenager, cricket was always the subject of discussion in every conversation I had with anybody. It's never come up once. Thank you. And I thought, well, that's just how I function. See people as an individual. See people as the person, not as the billionaire or the movie star or the sports star or the Prime Minister. And people tell me that they get that sense that I care about them. And, sorry, I did say it was the last thing, but if I'm going to a function where these sort of people are, I know I'm going to meet them. In fact, if it's the cricket and I'm sitting in the chairman's box, I might be sitting next to this person the whole day, maybe 4 or 5, 6 hours. And so I'm sitting in the back of an Uber, and I always have the same prayer, that I would get what I call, you might call it something different, Jesus moments, which is to see the person as an individual and be moved with compassion for them. So if I sit next to him at the cricket, a Prime Minister or whatever, it doesn't matter who it is, I say, oh, how's life? And sometimes they'll jump in with something about their work or whatever, you know, building a new mine or something, I don't know. And I say, oh, that's interesting, I hope that goes well. And I say, how about, you know, obviously have to travel a lot, how are you going with that? And not long before they start talking about their kids or their grandkids, and, you know, I ask them what are they enjoying most about their role, and then what are they finding hardest? And I think also, maybe because I'm a doctor, well, mostly because I care. I don't care about the other stuff, but I clearly care about them. But also, if you're a doctor, people know you're a bit safe, confidentiality, but you're never sure. they start to tell me stuff. You know, if I was a reporter, I'd be writing it all down. But sometimes they get a bit uncomfortable, and I say, look, I just need to. Well, they start to slow down. I say, look, I just need to say something, which you might assume, but I'm going to be explicit. Everything you say to me as we sit here and talk is absolutely 100% rock solid confidential. I will tell nobody. And you can see their shoulders relax. And then, honestly, by the end of the day, I've often got their personal mobile number, cell phone number, and a coffee date to talk about things. You know, and they have said, you know, when asked, does anyone really care about you as a person? I'm on the list. Sometimes I'm the only one on the list. It's not because I'm great, it's just that I can't talk about the famous people that I know without making it very clear that their fame is irrelevant to knowing them in terms of my reaction and my engagement with them.